This is the Carl Linnane Studio, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, multiple universes, and the soul. It's a lot of ground to cover, but it's not going to take as long as it probably sounds like it should. So recently I've been following and been exposed to a lot of, popular culture about artificial intelligence and, multiple universes. Things like Rick and Morty, where, the underlying assumption is there is no God, and, artificial intelligence can happen because humans are just meat bags, and etc. ad nauseum. So a lot of this multiverse theory comes out of the idea that because in quantum mechanics you don't know the outcome of events until you observe them, there is the possibility that there is a multiplicity of universes where all outcomes are actualized in at least one possible universe. So there's an infinite number of universes. This is because in quantum mechanics, if you don't look at an event, if you don't observe it, it doesn't have an outcome. So if I had two holes in a wall and I threw a marble at it, as long as I'm not looking at what the outcome is, the marble theoretically passes through both holes simultaneously. So that on the other side, you see that it's like there are two waves of probability that interact with each other and affect the marble's trajectory. Whereas if you are looking, then you can clearly see that the marble only passes through one of the holes. This is where you get the idea of Schrödinger's cat, where the cat is both alive and dead until you open the box and look. So I will leave a link to a video in the description that I think effectively explains quantum mechanics, or at least this principle of quantum mechanics. There are a lot of resources and materials on the internet for understanding quantum mechanics, extremely complicated. And even in the video that I link, I had to watch it 3 or 4 times before I really started to understand it. Now, this principle doesn't change if there is a detector in front of one of the holes in order to see which hole the marble went through, because the detector itself is affected by the same wave of probability that governs the marble. So if you're not looking, the detector may detect or may not detect because the marble is going through both holes simultaneously, so it is both hitting the detector and not hitting the detector, which means that the detector is also on a wave of probability, just like the marble. So in this way, we know that the whole universe is on a wave of probability. Okay, I'm oversimplifying it, but that's the basic principle. The entire universe is one gigantic wave of probability. Now, the universe itself does not know what the outcome of events are until we observe the outcome. Which means that we observing something is what creates the outcome. It is our looking at it that makes it happen. Now, why that is the case is something that a lot of people have struggled a long time to figure out. But I submit to you that if we were just meat computers, we would not be able to observe the outcome of events. For the simple reason that if we were just meat computers, we would be on the same wave of probability as everything else. So an artificial intelligence that is just a really complicated, really high-powered processing unit does not differ fundamentally from the mechanical detector, the simple mechanical detector that I was talking about earlier. Okay, increasing the amount of processing power in the detector is not going to change the fact that it's on the same wave of probability as the thing that it's detecting. If you make the high-powered processing computer biological, you're not fundamentally changing the principles by which it operates, such that it would remove it from being on the same wave of probability as the thing it's detecting. If it's mechanical, if it's biological, or regardless of its complexity, if it's on a wave of probability, it's on a wave of probability. It just is. Which means that in order for us to observe the outcome of events in the quantum realm, there has to be something more to us than a wave of probability. Because a wave of probability does not observe the outcome of other waves of probability. That doesn't make any sense. So our observation of the outcome is not just random, for the simple reason that the universe itself doesn't know beforehand. Whenever we observe it, we're not just doing it as a meat computer, because as I've said, a meat computer would not differ that greatly from a mechanical computer, and a mechanical computer does not differ that greatly in principle from a basic detector. Increasing the complexity or changing the medium does not change the principle. It's on a wave of probability. So I've repeated myself here in order to try to explain it more clearly. If you're still confused, I don't blame you. But the thing that's important to gather here is humans are not just glorified meat computers. We can't be, because quantum mechanics demands that we aren't. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to see anything. And without an observer, the entire universe would just be a mass of undifferentiated probability. There would be no way for it to be anything. This would lead me to believe that there is a metaphysical component to the human being, a spiritual, higher than physical matter component to how quantum physics works. If there isn't, then it can't work at all, because if there is nothing higher than physical matter, then physical matter is just a wave of probability, and nothing should be anything. It should just be an undifferentiated mass of probability. So, artificial intelligence, is it possible? No. No. You might be able to create something that gives off the appearance of being artificially intelligent. You might create something that is a simulation of artificial intelligence, but a mechanical computer is not capable of making decisions, true decisions, because it can't see the outcome. It can't determine what it wants the outcome to be, because it itself is on a wave of probability. And whether you believe that there is a God or not, quantum physics proves that there is something more to this universe than just physical matter. There has to be. This is why the person who came up with quantum physics as a theory originally, Werner Heisenberg, said that the first sip you take from the glass of the natural sciences will make you an atheist. But at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you. It's simply the case that science doesn't make sense unless there's something higher than physical matter. This has been the Carlinian Studio, and God bless.